Dear students, this is a lecture on chapter 4, book 1, Gulliver's Travels. Here I will give you a summary of the chapter and will read out important section, and finally we will end with a critical comment on the chapter. Let's begin. In the very first segment of this chapter, as you have seen in other chapters as well, that Sip gives you or his readers a kind of brief idea about the entire chapter. Here I'll read out the important aspects or important incidents that happen in this chapter. Sorry. So Swift says, Mildendo, the metropolis of Lilliput, described together with the emperor's palace. Here in this chapter, a metropolis of Lilliput, which is named as Mildendo, it is presented, and Gulliver, our protagonist, gives us a fascinating description of this metropolis named Mildendo. Keep it in mind that the name of the metropolis of Lilliput is Mildendo. A conversation between the author and the principal secretary. There is a conversation in this chapter which happens between the author, that is Gulliver, our protagonist, and a principal secretary of the Lilliputian government concerning the affairs of that empire. So this is a serious conversation that is going to happen between Gulliver and the principal secretary of the Lilliputian government. The authors offers to serve the emperor in his wars, and towards the end of the chapter we will see that the author, that is Gulliver, he is offered or he is asked to serve the emperor in his wars. So let's begin with the text. This is basically what is going to happen in the entire chapter. The first request I made after I had obtained my liberty was that I might have license to see Mildendo. So upon receiving his liberty, Gulliver wishes to have a view of the metropolis. The metropolis which the emperor easily granted me, but with a special charge to do no hurt either to the inhabitants or their houses. That is, though this emperor grants him the permission to see the great Lilliputian metropolis Mildendo, the emperor warns Gulliver not to harm the inhabitants, who you will see in the chapter and in this specific paragraph that they are gathering on their rooftops to watch this man mountain Gulliver walking in their streets. The people had noticed by proclamation of my design to visit the town. As you can remember the conditions, the terms and conditions upon which Gulliver was given his liberty, the inhabitants of the land of Lilliput, they are given a warning as so far as the visit of Gulliver is concerned. The wall which encompassed it is 2 feet and a half high. Here Gulliver gives the description of the metropolis, in which you will see that the walls are of 2 feet and a half high, and at least 11 inches broad, so that the coach and horses may be driven very safely round it. The Lilliputians, they are skilled in engineering, they are technically developed. That is why they come up with all plannings, all efficient engineerings so far as their sorry city is concerned, so far as their construction of the city is concerned. They have given priority to the notion of safety, as you can see here, and because of that, they have planned their streets to be broad enough so that the horses may be driven by safety. I will skip some areas. You will find it interesting to read it out, because here again Sid proves his imagination, his imaginative richness, and the readers are kind of uh, they are charmed by the fascinating description of the Lilliputian land. I ask you to go through this segment where Gulliver charms his readers with the wonderful description of the city. Here, the description of the uh, Lilliputian metropolis by Gulliver again is important, because it speaks of the well-built and excellently engineered city. As I have been saying you, sorry, that the city, the engineering, that is the mathematical precision, the sense of engineering is so brilliant in the land of Lilliputians that they have made their city well built and well coordinated. If you read this section, you will find that the city is an exact square. Again, their sense of mathematics. The city is in the shape of an exact square. They are very precise, they are very perfect. Each side of the wall being 500 feet long. The two great streets, which run across and divide it into 4 quarters, are 5 feet wide. The lanes and alleys, which I could not enter because they are so small and Gulliver is more like a giant, but only view them as I passed, are from 12 to 8 inches. The town is capable of holding 500,000 souls. The houses are from 3 to 5 stories. The shops and markets well provided. This is the description of the city that Gulliver gives you. To sum up the section, the city is quite impressive, so far as it is clear that it has been structured in a very mathematical way, and it impresses the readers. Gulliver steps over the wall. He walks very carefully through the streets. The city he discovers is in the shape of a perfect square, 500 feet on each side, 2 great streets, 5 feet wide. They run diagonally across the city, dividing in 4 quarters. The lanes and alleys of Mildendo are from 12 to 8 inches wide, and the city is capable of holding a population of 1.5 million. And at the center of this city, here, in the center of the city, where the 2 great streets intersect, is the Emperor's Palace, enclosed by a wall 2 feet high. Since the buildings of the palace are about 5 feet high, as you will see in the description of Gulliver. I will ask you to read out this section where you will find again a charming description of the emperor's palace, which is again marked by their sense of mathematics, their engineering, their quite skillfully planned structure. So far as the construction is concerned, I was very desirous to see, but found it extremely difficult for the great gates. That is, Gulliver was trying to have a view of these royal apartments, but he couldn't do that because it was very difficult for him. For the great gates from one square into another were but 18 inches high and 7 inches wide. Now the buildings of the outer court were at least 5 feet high, and it was impossible for me to stride over them without infinite damage to the pile. Though the walls were strongly built of stone and 4 inches thick. So Gulliver gives us the fascinating description that appeals to the imagination of the readers. And again, Gulliver himself, the protagonist himself, is very kind of specific so far as the numbers, so far as the description of the city is concerned. And the palace of the emperor also uh, is concerned. At the same time, the emperor had a great desire that I should see the magnificence of his palace. Again, as I was saying, that everything that is related to this emperor is marked by magnificence, marked by grandeur. If you can remember the rope dancing episode, if you can remember the description of the emperor as it was presented towards the end of the chapter 3, everything related to this emperor is of magnificence, is of grandeur. And this sense of magnificence or this grandeur can be compared or can be related to his sense of superiority, to his claim of superiority, or his inflated sense of ego. But this I was not able to do till 3 days later, which I spent in cutting down with my knife some of the largest trees in the royal park, about 100 yards distance from the city. So Gulliver found it very difficult to have a look in the grand, magnificent palace of the emperor, but somehow he managed to do that since he was able to cut down with his knife. And this is very interesting that he cut the largest trees that that were there in the royal park of Lilliput with his knife, and with them, what he did is he prepared 2 stools for him. Here, he made 2 stools for him, and he stood upon one stool and took the other in his hand. This he lifted over the roof and gently set it down on the space between the first and the second court, which was 8 feet wide. I then stepped over the building very conveniently from one stool to the other and drew up the first after me with a hook stick. But this contrivance I got into the inmost court, and lying down upon my side, I applied my face to the windows in the middle stories. So this is how he managed to make 2 stools, and standing upon which he tried to have a view of the palace of the emperor. Now, while he is doing all these things, our Gulliver gives us or his readers a kind of romantic, a very cordial scene where it is romantic because, or it is cordial because it has something to do with the young princess and our protagonist Gulliver. Let's read out. By this contrivance, I got into the inmost court. So Gulliver reaches to the inmost court. Lying down upon my side, I applied my face to the windows of the middle stories. Gulliver is now looking to the middle stories of the houses through the windows, which were left open on purpose, and they were left open to see Gulliver. Because while Gulliver is watching the Lilliputians are also watching Gulliver, because the two parties seem to be very different from each other, and they are a source of curiosity to each other because they are so different in their nature, in their behavior, in their character, and obviously in their appearance. And discovered the most splendid apartments that can be imagined. Gulliver is fascinated to discover everything in the land of Lilliputians, be it the apartments, be it the Emperor's palace, be it the rope dancing episode, be it the metropolis. And throughout the chapter, you'll see that Gulliver is a presenter of the events or the descriptions. He never he does not try to judge anything. He doesn't attempt to judge the conducts or the activities of the Lilliputians. He is there only to describe things, and he is again expresses his charm, his awe, his wonder to see everything there in this curious land of Lilliput, and discovered the most splendid apartments that can be imagined. Here I saw the Empress and the young princess in their several lodgings, with their chief attendants about them. Her Imperial Majesty was pleased to smile very graciously upon me. So Gulliver is pampered because the Imperial Majesty was very pleased to smile very graciously upon Gulliver and gave him out of the window her hand to kiss. Now imagine this scene where uh, this Imperial Majesty, she is kind of giving her hand she's putting her hand out of the window to Gulliver, and Gulliver is there to kiss her hand. This is a very romantic, very sweet description, and it appeals to the good sense of the readers.